Alright, guys, my name's Alberto, aka Destroyer48, aka Subscribe for Food, aka Subscribe for Nuts, haha, aka I have a trillion channels. I haven't done a movie review in a while. I've been busy with channels and stuff, and even for this channel, I've been popping fireworks and stuff like that. But today, I'm finally gonna do the review of National Lampoon's Vacation, starring Chevy Chase, um, Michael Hall, the main stars. Um, they are, you know. So let's go ahead and jump into this my movie review, and what you're gonna get out of it is, if you've seen it already, you're gonna get my opinion on it. And if you're a younger person and you haven't seen it, if you see this, if you see my review, and you can figure out whether you want to watch it or not. So let's get started on my movie review of Chevy Chase and National Lampoon's Vacation. There's Chevy Chase right there. Chevy Chase, he plays Clark, and he has a family. They live in Chicago, and it starts off where he goes with his son Rusty, played by Michael Anthony Hall, and they go to the car dealership. And I'm already laughing where I start. And he's trying to make a deal with a car dealer, and the car dealer's trying to sell him this car. Well, Clark is. It looks like Clark has already ordered the car. And the thing is called Antarctic Blue sports wagon. Wow, I actually remember. But the car dealership is very. He really wants to sell him his other car, and I don't know. You get the thing where he's gonna get ripped off. And then Clark's like, no, I want that. Yeah, they sent him another car, some green car. It's obviously not blue. And then the car dealership's like, Davenport is like calling one of the workers, he's saying, bring Clark, Mr. Griswold's car back, which is Clark. Because it looks like Clark gave him the car to sell, so to help buy this new car, the Antarctic Blue sports wagon. And then he's like telling him to bring the car, and they're already smashing the car, Clark's original car. They're smashing it while he's trying to wheel and deal with the dealer, and Clark's like, we're not falling for this bit. Let's go, Russ. They go to the car; it's already all smashed. So he doesn't have a say. He needs to get this new car. That's just not the Antarctic Blue. And the car dealership had told him, you're not gonna get it. You have to wait another 6 weeks for it to come in. And Clark doesn't have a choice but to go with that car, because they already smashed his car that that would have been his right, but he was gonna sell it to buy the Antarctic Blue, but that's not gonna happen. So his car smashed, and now he needs to take this new. He has no choice but to take the car they're gonna sell him. When he gets the car, he drives the new car with Rusty home. He stops at his house, and he's greeted by Ellen and his daughter Audrey. And the freaking something's still moving. He turns off the car. Something's turning off. Ellen's like, "Hey, something. What's wrong with the car? You turn it off and it's still making noise." He's like, "Oh, cars are like that." And Audrey's in her bike riding around, and she looks at the car. It's a new car, yeah. And by the way, they're about to go on vacation. That's one of the reasons they need the car. And at the end of that segment, Clark's about to get out, and then the airbag just pops out. Pff, looks like a trash bag. And the face goes, "Oh, an airbag." Clark goes to talk to Audrey. I'm sorry, Ellen, his wife Ellen, in the kitchen, and they're washing dishes and discussing that And it's like, it's not too late to fly. And he's like, no, I want. She's like, it's an awfully long ride because they want to go to. They want to go to a Wally World. It's like in, I think it's in California, but they want to get there, and it's like a version of Disneyland. So they want to take all the rides in that park and all that. And Clark is using the station wagon to go for a long drive over there. But they're washing dishes in the kitchen. She wants it. She's like, "Why don't we take a plane?" He's like, "No, I want to take a long ride. I only spend kids time with the kids like 2 minutes in the weekdays and only 2 hours lucky in the weekends. I look forward to a long ride to spend time with them." And they're like, "Okay." So he goes to the room to work on. They're playing video games. Audrey and his son Rust. His daughter Audrey and his son Rusty, and they're playing video games. He's like, move over. I want to go over the trip on the computer, and he shows us the little station, his station wagon, and like going across the computer cross country, and it shows us the map of the United States. And then Rusty is able to get into the game still with Pac Man trying to trying to trying to catch and eat the Clark's station wagon symbol in the game. Audrey comes out of spider, starts shooting at Rusty, shoots Rusty and Rusty's like Pac Man. And then after that, Rusty's like, why don't we go to plane? And he's like, no, we're gonna go cross country. So they're next thing you have that they're already gonna leave. They have all their luggage on their wagon, their new wagon they bought. The neighbors are there greeting them like, "Bye, bye, have a good trip." I'm like, "What neighbors do that, man? You must have a really good neighbor." I know my neighbors wouldn't do that to me. And they're about to pull out of the station wagon and from the garage, and then the top of the garage, is not high enough, so it knocks all their luggage down on the floor. So they've already started off in a bad start. Luggage, they have to pick all the luggage up and put it on the station wagon. Now they show that they're on a trip. They're leaving Chicago. They're like on an expressway, stuff like that. And before I go on, it said that when you see like the high view of them on the expressway, that and on their station wagon, that is a scene shown from the show Married with Children. That's what has been said, and it looks exactly the same. That scene where they're on the station wagon, leaving an expressway, going on their vacation. Very interesting. I was not sure about that, but once they told me, I was like, well, they're in a station wagon, and Rusty and Audrey are sitting in the back. Clark and Ellen are sitting in the front. Clark is driving, and they're already singing songs. They're singing some Mockingbird song. He's gonna buy me a mockingbird, mockingbird, and if the diamond ring don't shine, whoa, 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 whoa. And Ellen singing front lead, and Clark is singing backup, and then they're singing the Marty Moose song, which is the place they're going. That the main character from the theme song. Who's a moosey moosey no Marty Moose? And I don't know. S is for singing. M-O-E-O-Y. I don't know. Marty Moose. Marty Moose. Oh, that's me. And Clark sings that part. Yeah, it's pretty funny stuff. Sorry, I don't know the whole song. If not, I would sing it really good. And they're like, okay, let's sing. This is the one, Clark says, this is the one kids. Jimmy crack corn and I don't care. Jimmy crack corn and I don't care. And they're singing it too. And they're like, they have in their faces like, screw this. They have their headphones, they put them on. And then Clark's singing to himself still, some song. And then Rusty has taken off his shoes and puts his feet on the back seat. his, his stinky socks are in Clark's face while he's driving. And Clark knows, like, what? He's like, Russ, your feet. Put his feet down. There's a part where they get to the gas station. He needs to gas up. He can't find a freaking the car. He can't find the part of the car where you put the gasoline in. Uh, he's like a mother and kid putting gas in their car, and it's in the behind the license plate. They have to bring it down. He tries his. He's like okay. He tries his license plate to find where to put the gas in his car, and he pulls it out. He flips it. It was flying. Then the mom and kid look at him about that they saw him, and then Ellen is in the front of the car and he's like, "Isn't this where you put the gas in the car?" It's like in the front, on the side. And Clark plays dumb like, "Yeah, I know, just checking the tires." So they end up taking off, and then it shows them they're like on the expressway, like they're near Missouri or something. And I don't know, it's a Missouri Arch. I don't know what they call it. I don't know what that thing is. And he goes, "Hey, it's like 500,000 feet in the air or something like that." It has an elevator goes all the way up, and Russ is like, "Wow, can we go up it, Dad?" And he's like, "No." All letting Russ down. Uh, then they get off on the wrong exit. I think it's Missouri. It looks like Missouri. They or the Missouri City. I don't know what it's called. Um, they get off on the wrong exit, and then they end up in a black neighborhood. And I don't know what this word is. I have to look it up. It's called plight. He goes. We don't see this part of America, and Ella's like, "Oh, that's good. We don't have to see this part of America." And it's like Clark's like, "You see all this plight? I guess plight means like garbage or something." There's no offense, but there's like a lot of black people outside. It's a black poor neighborhood. It does not look good. You see pimps and I don't know. It's funny. So they're driving along with a plight or on the ghetto where there's a lot of black people. No, not to be racist or anything. And they're like, he's like, "Yeah," like I said, "Did you see all this plight?" And like, "Yeah." And then they hear gunshots and someone yelling, "Pew, ah!" He's like, roll them up. They start rolling up the windshields. And then he's lost, so he gets out of the car and he sees this black pimp with two prostitutes, and he goes, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me how to get it back in the expressway?" The pimp says, "F your mama," and then and then Clark says, "Okay, thank you very much." And then Clark gets in the car, he keeps driving, and he gets to the side of the street, and he's like, he calls another black person, the black guy with a basketball. Rusty's like, "Wow, Dad, do you know, these guys know the Commodores? The Commodores, if y'all don't know, Commodores are a black singing group back in the day, in the 50s or 60s or something." And then Clark talks to this black guy, goes, "Hey, what is it, Holmes?" He doesn't know how to talk black. and then, and then, and then Clark tells the black guy, "We're from out of town." And then the black guy's like, "No shit." And then Clark is talking to this guy, and he says, he goes, "Can you give me the directions?" Like for, he's like, and then the black guy's like, "For free?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "No, $5." And he goes, $5 for directions. And then Ellen's scared. She goes, you know, I think it's reasonable, Clark. Okay." She gives Clark a 10. And Clark goes, "Okay, here's 10." The guy just puts it in his pocket, doesn't give him change. It was supposed to be for 5. And this guy's just talking. And then this guy has his friends are they're stealing the hubcaps. They're like sneaking in the ball, stealing the hot cups, hot what's it called? Hot cabs? I can't say it. Well, the cab's the middle part of the tire. Hubcaps. There you go. They're stealing the hubcaps, and at the same time, and this guy's BSing Clark saying, "Hey, you go down the street and it's my cousin, and show you the way, and you don't want to know from me. I'm from Chicago. I'm here on vacation." Coincidentally enough, Clark and his family are from Chicago too. So they take off. They finally find their way out. They're driving on the expressway or on a bridge, and their car is spray painted. Their hubcaps are missing. Clark uh, Clark and Ellen and the kids are driving in the station wagon, especially like I was saying. Audrey and Rusty are asleep in the back. Clark is mentioning a memory they kinkingly that Ellen and him did back in the day in his other vehicle when they were younger. And he's like, "Do you wanna relive a memory and it's something dirty and nasty?" And she's like, "No, let's wait till they get to the hotel." He's like, "Okay, we'll get the best hotel." And Clark is like, "Do you want to put your head on my lap?" And she's like, "Okay." She gets her head. Clark adjusts the steering wheel where you go up, what you can't do. She puts her head there, and Clark puts the wheel down her, and then Ellen's like, "My head's stuck," and then he's trying to mess with the torpedo. And Audrey thinks it's a trick of doing that dirty thing they did a long time ago in the car driving. And she even said at that time she was surprised she didn't get in an accident. And Clark saying this is all stuck in her, and she's still struggling. Her neck is stuck in his lap with the steering wheel on her neck. Finally, she gets off and she goes, "Clark, that was a dirty move." And he goes, "The steering wheel's all messed up." And then she's like, we need to go to a hotel because you're cranky and stuff like that. After that, they all end up falling asleep. Even Clark, that he was supposed to be driving, is like this, all asleep. And they're going wild on the street, or they're just going straight, an expressway. And then Clark finally wakes up. He's like, he's about to hit something. Then he does a maneuver with a car, and they end up parking right into a hotel. I'm like, okay, now that's amazing they didn't get in an accident. They're in the hotel. The kids have their room. Clark and Ellen have their room. They're getting ready to go to bed. Well, actually, Ellen's taking a shower. It's completely nude, and it looks like someone's going to curtain. And Clark opens a curtain while they're taking a shower. You see her boobs for you guys out there. And he has like a so big going ee, ee, ee. And he does startle her. He's doing like a scene from Psycho with a knife and stuff. And he's like, "Can I rub your back?" She's like, "No. Can I wash your back?" She's like, "No." She's like, "Can I do your front?" She goes, "You could do your own front." They go to the bed, and there's supposed to be a machine that makes the bed vibrate and stuff, I guess, to comfort you or something. He puts it in, and then the bed's going out of whack. It's making too much noise. He had took out some wine glasses and was trying to romance her with wine and glasses, stuff like that. He gets turned off because he's trying to say romantic words to her, and the machine keeps making too much noise. Interrupting. So they're like, okay, screw it. They go on the floor and take their blankets there, and they start making out. The kids come in because they hear all the noise from the machine. Excuse me. And and the kids come in, and Clark sees them from. He's the only one with his head peeking out from the blankets. And he goes, "Don't you kids ever knock anymore?" And he points like this, and he has Ellen's panties on his finger. He puts it over. Oh no, Ellen grabs it, and she's still under the blankets. And they're like, "Weirdo." Rusty and Audrey are like, "Weirdo Rama." Rusty had went to the machine and turned it off. He found a way to turn it off. Clark didn't know how to turn it off. And by the way, you put a quarter in for 25 cents. Wow, those were the days. We could pay everything for 25 cents. Um, After that, they have already. It's the next day. They've already taken off, and now they're at Dodge City. It's like I guess that's actually Dodge City. It's all Western and Western bars and stuff like that. It has that Western look. When they get into a building, they automatically see some guy. He looks like I think he's supposed to be playing Wyatt Earp. He has a cowboy hat, whatever, and he says hi to Clark, and Clark says hi, and then that Wyatt Earp character guy, uh, he's like, "Give you five, partner," and then to Rusty, and Rusty just ignores him and takes off. Rusty tells Clark, "That's a crappy Wild Earp. He has jogging shoes on." Cowboys are supposed to wear boots. Hello, he's wearing jogging shoes, jogging shoes, and and then that Wild Earp guy had warned him about the bartender that he's a grouchy kind of guy. The family goes to sit at the bar, and you see the bartender. He's working on something under the bar. He's has a I don't know monkey wrench working on some kind of barrel. I don't know what. And then Clark decides to heckle the guy. He's like, "Hey, turkey! Hey, underpants!" and all that. And and it's from left to right. First, it's Audrey sitting more close to that bartender, and then it's Ellen, and then it's Rusty, and then it's Clark. And Clark keeps telling him, "Hey, Andres, hey, turkey, you chicken wing," and the bartender's getting mad. Bartender takes out a shotgun. He shoots it at at Clark, and Clark goes flying back, and they're like, "Ah!" And Clark hops back up. Nothing happened to him. He goes, "I thought it was a real gun, didn't you? Didn't you guys?" And then Audrey's like, "What?" And it's like, "No, didn't you see that? See, didn't you see that, honey?" And Audrey's like, "What?" Audrey was closest to the bartender. She was a shotgun. And then Ellen goes, "Well, thanks a lot, Clark. Now your daughter's deaf." And then Clark's like, "Oh, who cares? It's all for fun." And then after that, Clark goes, "Okay, excuse me, sir. I'll be on nice to the bartender now." After that, they're back in the car, and then um Clark wants to. Well, they're talking about how Indians had there they had like I don't know they made their houses out of clay or something like that. No, no. Clark says, "You know, guys, Indians made their houses around here. They made mud out of mud." And then Audrey says, "No, they didn't, Dad. They made them out of saw or something like that." And then Clark says, "Yeah, when they ran out of saw, they used mud." I'm like, I don't know why I thought that was funny. I think it's because a dad wants to believe he knows everything. And then I don't know, Clark wants to see an invisible house or biggest uh, um, wine cloth or something like that. But his wife Ellen says, "No, I think Dodge City was enough for today. We need to make it to on time to because they're gonna go to Ellen's cousin's house." They get to Ellen's cousin's house and they're greeted by the family. There's a whole bunch of them. It's Eddie, played by Randy Quaid. He's the father. And then he has his wife, and then they have some kids. So, before I forget, I think the biggest ones are Vicky and Vale, something like that. Vicky's the name of the girl. Vale is an, or Dale. I'm sorry, Dale's the name of the little boy that's around Rusty's age. Vicky's around Audrey's age, so they're gonna hang out. And yeah, they're like, "This is Vicky and Dale." Vicky and Dale, they're second cousins of Audrey and Rusty, and they're gonna go play together. And this house is like out on a ranch. They have a farm and everything. They're like farmers or something. Clark talks with Eddie outside. Eddie's not even dressed for the occasion. He's wearing a white beater shirt, a gray white beater shirt. They're talking with Clark in the car. I like this part. Um, Eddie has like a, you want to say six pack of beer, but there's only two left. He's already drinking one, and then there's still left in the six pack, like in those ring thingies that you hold a six pack in. And Clark's like, "Oh, this is a homestead," and then Eddie's like, "Yeah, I don't know for how long." He's like, "F it," and he goes, "You want a cold one, cold beer?" And then Clark's like, "Yeah." Eddie gives him the one he was drinking of, and then he takes out the brand new one instead of giving the brand new one to Clark. So Eddie's saying the bank's on him that they want to take his land, and he can't pay the bank. I would think because Eddie mentions that Army's gonna take away his check because I guess like a disability army kind of check kind of deal because the plate in his head is not big enough. So I guess they're gonna take away that, and then I think he got laid off from the some Festus job or something like that, something like that. So that's going on. He's afraid of losing the house, so he's having money problems and trying to keep his house. The kids are talking. Vicky's talking with Audrey. Vicky's like, "I'm a good French kisser." Audrey's like, "Oh, everybody could do that." And then Vicky says, "But my daddy says I'm the best out of it, best of it, best doing it." And Audrey's like, "Wow." Yeah, I was like, "Wow" too. Rusty's talking with Dale. They're in his little worm farm thingy. They're bored. Rusty's bored just seeing the world. Dale just get the worms. I like, and then Rusty says, "Hey, do you have Atari? Do you have like Space Invaders? Do you have Pac Man?" And then Dale's like, "Nope, but my dad does." And Rusty's like, "Oh, Dale, what is there to do around here?" And he goes, "Well, I got a whole bunch of dirty magazines about this high." Dale takes Rusty to go see the dirty magazines. And Rusty's like seeing the dirty magazines of women and oh, she's beautiful. And Rusty has Dale. Um, you mind selling me some? And Dale's like, "No, hell no. I cherish these things." And he goes, "And I use them a lot." And then Rusty's like, "How do you use a dirty magazine?" And then Dale says, "Have you ever warmed your baloney?" And Rusty's like, um, you have Clark and Ellen. Now it's later on in the night. Um, and he's sitting with Eddie and his wife. Oh, before that, they have a picnic. Um, Ellen is with Eddie's wife, and um, Eddie's wife is saying that she's pregnant. They have a lot of kids besides Vicky and Dale. They have little ones. They even have one that doesn't have a tongue. When they meet the little girl that doesn't have a tongue, they're like, "How are you, little girl?" Clark says, and Eddie had said that she was born without a tongue, but don't worry, she eats like a horse and sings like a whistle or something like that. Sings like a bird, like whistling or something. I like that part. And then they have a picnic. Ellen's helping Eddie's wife with making the food for that barbecue, or not a picnic. I'm sorry, it's a barbecue. And Eddie's wife says that Eddie has an aunt there. They haven't met the aunt yet, and Eddie got hurt, and I think it's his, I don't know, his mom or his aunt, something like that. And but they call her Aunt Edna. And when she came, they've been taking her disability check, And then Eddie's wife says, "Well, they're making the food. Is like if we didn't have and then as a disability check, we wouldn't be able to eat like this. And we get rich off her check." And then Ellen tells her Eddie's wife, "It seems like you got your hands full here." And she's like, "No, don't worry about it. Everything's fine." And Eddie's wife is praying, and she goes, "Don't worry about it." Eddie says, "When the baby comes, I can quit one of my night jobs." I'm like, poor lady. Outside during the barbecue, they got a punch bowl, but it's like I think there's like lemonade or some kind of punch, and I don't remember if it was lemonade or punch. Vicky has her hand in the punch bowl, stirring it with her hand instead of using a spoon, and then Clark says, "Vicky, can I help you with that, please?" Because it's gross. She's using her hand to stir the punch. um, Eddie, what does Eddie say? He's doing the burgers, and he goes, Hey Clark, how do you want your burger? Do you want it? Do you want it light or lightly? Do you want it light or medium rare or dark or something like that? And then Clark's like, I like it. I want my meat dark or something like that. And then Eddie says, No, I'm talking about the bread. How do you want it? Instead of hamburger meat, he's just giving them bread. Um, Clark is like he can eat his burger, has no meat, and it only has bread. And then he's in a eat put ketchup on it, and he's like Clark has the spoon and whatever. He's like, "What real tomato ketchup, Eddie?" And then Eddie's like, "Nothing but the best." And then Clark tells Ellen, "Hey, I have no meat in my burger." And then Ellen says, like, "You have plenty of meat at home." Clark is eating his burger with just homemade ketchup. Okay, I was like, wow, they're too cheap to buy like regular bottle of ketchup. It's only $1 at the store, man. Um, and then you see the first appearance of Aunt Edna. She comes out. She comes out with her walker. And then Ellen goes to greet Aunt Edna. That's the first time they meet her. And Aunt Edna comes out with her walker, and she immediately gives it to Ellen, and she starts walking the pig. I'm like, she starts walking all normal and stuff. I'm like, what did you need the walker for if you're gonna walk outside? Aunt Edna is very rude. She talks to Clark, and Clark's like, "Oh no, I don't like." Kind of like, Aunt Edna's here, and Ellen's like, "Yeah, she's here." And then Ellen tells Aunt Edna, "Do you remember Clark?" And then it goes, "Yeah, I remember y'all gave me that fruit pie for Christmas. Like, thanks a lot. It gave me the runs." And then they're at the picnic table, all of the meeting. And then Aunt Edna tells Eddie's wife, and she goes, "Did you tell him the good news?" And Eddie's wife is like kind of like looking around. And then Clark and Ellen are like, "What's the good news?" And she's like, "You're driving me to Phoenix." And then Clark's biting to his just ketchup burger, and he bites it, and all the ketchup comes out. So it looks like they don't want to drive Aunt Edna to Phoenix because they know she's annoying, and this is not in the plan. You have a scene where Audrey's hanging out with Vicky in the room, and Audrey's looking at one of Vicky's trophies, and she says, "It's not too cool being a pig farmer." And Audrey tells Vicky like, "I don't want to be rude or anything, but it's not that cool to be a farmer." And oh yeah, and Vicky says she won first place on the trophy. But like I was saying, Audrey says, Vicky, it's not cool to be a farmer. And then Vicky's like, "You really think so? Well, check this out." And then she has a shoebox full of marijuana in it. And then Audrey's like, "Wow, that is cool." She didn't say it, but she sees it in her eyes. Clark and Ellen are chilling with Eddie and his wife, and Edna. She's like working with yarn or something while they're talking. Yeah, they're in the sofa sitting chilling in the living room. And then Eddie's complaining he lost his job and he doesn't have that much money. And he goes, "Yeah, I lost my job and the plate in my head." Um, and then that Edna says, "Why don't you just ask him for the money? He sure can't take a hint." And then Eddie's like, "Well, Clark, can you spare a little bit?" Clark's taking out his wallet. Like, "Sure, how much do you need?" And then Eddie says, "About $52,000. Clark was taking a little bit of money, and then he starts putting it back in his wallet. He can't afford $52,000, man. That's a lot of money even for Clark that does well. Um, the next day, they're about to leave. Eddie's family's saying bye to Clark and the Griswolds and all that, his family. Clark Clark gives him. I'm sorry. Eddie gives Clark some white shoes. Look ridiculous. And then Eddie's like, "Here, I got you this gift." He opens up the shoe boxes, the shoes, and Eddie goes, "I remember you complimented me last time on my shoes. Last time I saw you." And then Rusty's like, "Yeah, those shoes are kind of cool." And then Clark goes, "Quiet down, Russ." Like, obviously Clark doesn't like the shoes. I mean, yeah, they're like white dressy shoes. Who would? It's disgusting. And then at Enda's in the back of the car, and she goes, she yells out, "I told you you wouldn't like him, Eddie." And then they slam the door in her face. Um, they're about the dog. They bring out a dog, and they're like, "Hey, you didn't meet the dog. Is that Enda's dog?" Dell brings him. Is like he likes to watch Family Feud, and Eddie's like, "Yeah, you didn't get to meet the dog and his dog yesterday. The dog had the shits." Okay. So they're gonna take the dog, and it's funny because they're starting to hug and kiss each other, and Eddie wants to kiss Ellen, and Ellen gets moves out of the way because she knows that Eddie's so sick and perverted, he'll probably try to French kiss her. So they take off, and then there is scenes where this lady, this well, it's like actually a girl, probably a girl in her mid 20s or something, and she's actually a real supermodel. Christy Brinkley, but she comes out like in a red Ferrari or a red Ferrari, I think. And Clark and the family are back in the road. There's a part where she's in the pretty supermodel girl in her Ferrari. Clark is in his car at one point. The kids are fighting. Ellen's talking to him, and then Clark's like they're like driving right beside Clark with the pretty girl in the Ferrari. She goes up, and then he goes really fast in the station wagon goes faster to catch up with her, and they're talking and stuff like that. At one point, Clark almost hits a truck because they're on side by side. Ellen gets mad at him, saying, "Slow down," and that's that. Um, there's a part where they meet up. They go to a park to go eat sandwiches. Uh, Clark is seeing this girl in the Ferrari. She's parked somewhere, and he's far away, but she's dancing with him and near her car, whatever. Clark's dancing with his sandwiches or eating sandwiches, and Clark's like hitting his face with a sandwich and stuff like that. And he's dancing like this, dancing with her, but from a distance. And then Ellen says, "You know what? All the sandwiches are wet. They're all wet." All the kids are like, "Ugh," they throw the sandwiches down. And then Ellen says, "The dog peed on the sandwiches." And then Clark hears and he's like, and he throws the sandwich to the floor. And then that's when the sandwich is just like, "Oh well, I'll still eat it." She eats a sandwich that's been peed on by her dog. Gross. Um, they go to this place. Oh, also there's a part where they're like at a Sonic. I think Sonic's no nationwide, so everyone knows what I'm talking about. A drive through burger place. Um, no, that part's gonna come later. Actually, now they're gonna go to a tent place. It's like outdoor, and you don't stay in hotels. You stay in or cabins. You stay in a tent. And oh my gosh, Clark goes into this place to go get the three tents, and there's this guy that comes in with his. He has like a cowboy hat, but it's like this. But it has another part right there. Funny hats. I think it's a regular cowboy hat, but it turns it like this. But it's not really a cowboy hat. It's made out of cheap material, whatever. It looks funny. I bet you that guy's a real comedian in real life or something. That guy's hilarious. Anyways, Clark tells the guy, "Hey, I want." He's with Ellen and the guy. He rings the bell too. It's a couple. And the guy takes the bell from him like it's annoying. Clark's like, "I want three tens." And then this guy's eating watermelon too. He's spitting up the spits. And I don't know. It's funny. Like it's like unprofessional. That's why it's funny. The guy looks funny with a hat like that. You guys that seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And if you guys haven't seen it, it's hilarious. Trust me. And then he's like, "Okay, sign here, please." And it's like $70, $80, and Clark does not like the price of renting those tents. And he goes, "What do you need in the paper? What do you need my home address for?" And he goes, "We like to sell out a mater." I don't really understand that part. I guess they're gonna sell them mail. And then the guy's like, "Yeah, it's an expensive price, but it includes all the scenery and fun." The kids have went outside and it's all a pool. The pool is all dirty. It has grass in it and mud and what. It was all dark and it has like a duck in the water and it's just disgusting. So the pool's out of it and they don't show it. There's like tents outside. Um, and Clark goes to one of the tents that they've rented and he goes and Ellen says, "Ooh, it's this tent smells. Oh." And then Clark's like, "And then we got your tent here." So they give the ugly, smelly tent to Aunt Edna. Aunt Edna's dog also, like her, doesn't behave. It starts gnarling and biting at the pants of Clark and Rusty. At one point, Rusty's like, you know, well, I think that part comes afterwards. I'll get to that. But no, I'll just say it. Dog's biting Rusty, and then because Aunt Edna said, my dog needs a walk and a bath." Clark goes tells Rusty, "Go take care of it." And then Rusty's like, "Man, the dog bites," and and then Clark's like, "Bite him back." It shows that they don't do anything at this place, outdoor place. They just show. They don't even show the kids. They don't show at the end of the tent, but they do show Clark and Ellen. They're trying to have sex in a sleeping bag, and then Ellen's on the bottom. She's like, "We don't fit in this bag. You're trying to fit." Clark's in there, and then Ellen's on the bottom, and on Clark's on top of one, on top of the sleeping bag, and then Ellen says, "There's an animal here." She hears something, and it's Anna's dog. And she goes, "Clark, animal," and then Clark thinks she said, "You're an animal, like in the sack." And then Clark's like, "Yeah, I know. I'm going for the honey." And then they have to get rid of the dog. And then Clark's like, I'm sorry. Um, they shouldn't have got those tents. They didn't do anything over there. It's already the next day and they're ready to leave. Um, they all go back in the car and they left that tent place. And then they're driving like in the highway in the middle of nowhere. Um, but before that, that's where they stop at the. Oh no, they're yeah, I'm in the right place. They're on the highway in the middle of nowhere. It looks like the desert's out there. And then there's a cop and a motorcycle cop, and he stops Clark, and then they're like, Clark's like, was I speeding? And I was like, yeah, you were, and all that. Um, the cop comes and he has a leash of the dog, just the leash. And he's like, can you step out of the car, sir? And he's like, Clark's like, okay. And he's like, can you explain this, you SOB, to Clark? And he has a leash. And it's like, I didn't know. I didn't do it on purpose. And then the cop says, you know, there is a there's a big penalty for animal cruelty, big consequences or rules in the state. And Clark's like, no. And then the cop says, well, whatever it is, I'm pretty sure it's pretty steep. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know the law for animal cruelty. He looks really stupid. And then Clark's like, no, seriously, sir, I didn't. It was an accident. It was a pure accident. And then the cop's like, the little guy must have just made it like 5 miles and couldn't take it anymore. Ran with you. And then the cop is gonna let him go. Clark goes back in the car and says, I was speeding. And then Rusty's like, no, no, the cop didn't stop it because he stopped it because and Clark's like, Russ, quiet. I was speeding. I was speeding like a maniac. Good thing this cop was here to stop me. And then the cop says, here you go, sir. Here's the leash. And I was like, just cracking up, not cracking up, but like cracking up with anger and trauma. Like, ooh, she just lost her dog. So they lost the dog because they had the dog tied to the back, and the dog was probably running for a while, and it just killed it by probably strangling it because he was still hooked to the car, not on purpose, but they forgot about the dog, and they killed that in this dog. They're probably dragging it for a long time and killed it that way. And then that's where the part where they go to the it's like a Stars. I'm sorry, Stars. It's like a Sonic, a drive-in burger place. And then they're still mad. They're about to get their food. The waitress comes with a big tray of all the food because there's so many of them. And then at the end it goes, is this your idea of a fancy restaurant? Dog killer! The waitress brings the from the burger drive through. She brings it and she gives it. She's about to put it on the window, and Clark's like, "No, no, hand it to me. It's a new car." He puts it on the window, and all breaks. The window breaks, and all the food falls on the floor. The waitress walking away. Clark goes, "Waitress, come clean it up." Oh my gosh. Um, they're driving along. They're still in the middle of nowhere. They're lost again, and then they're like in the middle of nowhere in the desert, driving in the highway. And Audrey's like, um, she's like, I think I saw some detour signs. And I guess detour means go back. And then Clark and Ellen like, we didn't see that. And then Audrey says, yeah, I saw them. You didn't see them because you're too busy looking at the map. And like Clark's like, don't worry, there's no, you know, you don't you don't see a street in unless you see barricades like this one. Ah, they're driving fast and they jump up like a ramp, like it's the end of the street. They jump and they go like really far, and then they land. When they land, it's hilarious. Audrey and Rusty were sitting in the back. Of course, when they landed, when they crash landed from that jump from that jump or that ramp they went up. Audrey and Rusty are now in the front, and then Rusty's like, "Oh man," and Audrey's like, "I think I got my period." um, they get out of the car, and wants to get out. She's complaining about Clark saying he can't drive. He's driving like a madman. She wants to get out of the car, and then Ellen gets is outside the car and tells her, "You know what? Stay inside. It's hot and everything." And she's like, "You're married to a madman and all that." And Ellen says, "Stay inside and shut up, or I'll split your lip." Feel like this. They're all seeing what to do. They're looking for a first aid kit. Um, Ellen's giving them all jobs except for Ed, and she wants Ed to stay in the car. Um, she tells like Rusty to gather all the clothes because all their luggage is in there. Audrey needs to pee, and she goes, "Mom, I need to pee," and then Ellen says, "Find a bush, Audrey." And Rusty had told Clark, "Hey, you must have done a jump of that jump like 50 feet." And then Clark's like, 50 feet, like he's all happy. Clark gets Rusty and has a son, father and son talk with him, takes out a beer. He's like, "Hey, with my dad, we shared a beer. It was a special moment." Clark takes a little drink. He takes a drink of the beer, gives it to Rusty. Rusty chugs it. And Clark thinks like he's gonna share the beer and give it back to him, and Rusty gives it, and it's an empty can. Clark crushes it and throws it. And Clark's gonna tell him, "Well, I'm gonna have to go look for a gas station. I'm gonna go look for help, and you take care of the family. You're the man now." And then he tells Ellen too. Ellen's like, "Oh, well, if you're not back," and then Clark says, "Man," and there's like stone rock, and it's like where Indians would be, like it's all desert and there's nothing out there. I think they're in New Mexico maybe. All these rock mountains, like nothing out there. Um, and Clark tells them, "No, I need to go. I'm gonna run it. There has to be a gas station around here somewhere in the middle of the world, though." And I was like, "Well, if you're not back," and she's like, "Yeah, this happens all the time. I'll be back." So Clark leaves him there, and he goes to go look for a gas station. He's out like in the desert, and there's nothing. He needs water. He's like getting delirious, talking to himself, singing and all that. He at one point he puts a pants on his head, I guess to find any shade from the sun. There's two Indians and horses. They look at him from afar, like, "What an idiot," or "What an a-hole." Clark falls at one point. There's like a human skeleton. He's like, "Ah." Next, you see that so Clark is out there suffering, but now you see Ellen and the kids. They're at a gas station, and Clark's like walking crazy. And he's like, "Oh," they're all greeting him. "Hey, Dad, you're okay?" They're like, "You must be thirsty." Like, "Yeah, I'm thirsty." He's all his throat is all messed up like mine is right now. Like, "You want to drink?" "Yeah, I'm thirsty." We go in. Next, you see Clark is like he's worn out. He has his wallet. He sees the mechanics. There's a overweight mechanic and a skinny mechanic, and they fix the car. And then Clark's like, "How much is it for the repairs?" And then the skinny mechanic says, "Boy, you must have crap for brains if you really did that to your car and you're out there and all that." And he's like, Clark's like, "Yeah, well, I'm from out of town. It's not even a town. There's only a gas station out there." And he's like, well, so how much for the repairs? And they say, well, and then the overweight mechanic says, how much you got? And then Clark's like, I'm done jerking around. How much is it for repairs? And then the big mechanic, overweight mechanic steps and goes, how much you got? So Clark knows he wants all his money. And then Clark goes, do you know if the sheriff knows about your business practices? The big mechanic takes off a sheriff badge off from his wallet. Like, oh man, you're screwed again, dude. Clark takes the kids in the station wagon, and they take off in the car. All the wheels are all wobbly. They didn't even do a good job on the car. They have almost no money. Um, Somewhere along the way, they shows that their luggage has fallen off the car. Um, so Clark knows they have little to no money. Uh, Ellen's driving the car. Clark's on the passenger seat. All three of them still back there, and Audrey and Rusty. So and then Clark asks Audrey, "How much babysitting do you How much babysitting money do you have?" And then she goes $30 or something like that. And then Rusty goes, "No, she has $40." She's all lying. And then Clark goes, um, "Rusty, check," because at end is asleep. And then Clark goes, "Check Aunt Edna's purse." And Rusty's trying to take the purse away from her. And then oh yeah, and then Ellen says, "She's asleep, Clark." And then Clark's like, "Go ahead, go, just open the zipper, Russ." Rusty, because Rusty was trying to take the purse away. Rusty checks. He goes, "She has like 17 or 18 cents, Dad." Clark's one of his glasses is like falling apart, or I think it's taped. Uh, they're not having a good time. Um, so they're driving along. Um, they're driving along, and then Rusty and Audrey, they're like, "Hey, and Audrey, I'm tired of having her, Leonard. You take her." And Audrey and Rusty are fighting like, "No, you take her. I had her last time." And then they're like, "Hey, wake her up." They couldn't wake her up. And then they're like, "Stop the car," or something like that. Ellen says, checks her pulse. She's like, "You know what? At end is dead. At end is dead." They're like, "Oh no!" And then they all park somewhere. They already park somewhere. And they run out of the car. Like, "Oh, we're dead. I mean, she's dead. We're dead. She's dead." And they're like, "We're not gonna." The kids are like, "We're not gonna be back there with a dead body." And they're like, "What are we gonna do? Put her on top of the car?" And then Clark's like, um, he's like, "She weighs no more than 120 pounds, like that." And Ellen's like, "No, don't tell me you're gonna put her on top of the car." They put her on top of with a chair in the car, and then they're driving like that. They end up driving her to Phoenix to I guess to her son's house. They find out nobody's there, and his name's Artie. Um, Clark says that he's a jackal, and Ellen's like, "Watch your mouth." They end up. Clark doesn't want to wait for. He doesn't want to be there for a funeral. So Ellen's like, they're about to leave her on the doorstep, and she's covered with a plastic or something, or a black plastic bag. And Ellen's like, "We can't just stay here just because you want to go to the park and have fun or whatever like that." And Ellen's like, "Can you just at least say a prayer?" They say a prayer real quick, and then they take off. It's raining too. On top of that, when they brought her to town, it was raining. So they left her there on the doorstep with a letter or something like that. And They're taking off. They're all frustrated. Um, they're driving in the car, and and like I say, they're all frustrated. And Ellen and the kids are like, maybe we should just turn back, And they're all arguing, and then Clark says, "I can't believe this. We're just like 10 minutes away from having fun, and y'all want to freaking bill on me." And he's like, "Praise Marty Moose, praise Marty Moose." Oh, crap! He's like losing his mind, and then he goes, and then he says, "You know what? We're gonna have so much. Don't. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna have so much effing fun. You're gonna be singing zippity doo out of your a hole." He's getting crazy, very frustrated. Ellen's very mad. And then they go to a hotel. They go to a hotel. The kids have their own room. Ellen's with Clark, and then Ellen's getting ready for bed in the hotel. And Ellen goes, "Next time you want to do an outburst, I appreciate it if you don't do it in front of the kids." And then she's arguing with Clark, and Clark says, "You know what, Ellen, you wouldn't know fun if it came and bit you." And then Clark gets Eddie's shoes and put them on. And she goes, "Where are you going?" He's like, "Out." So Clark leaves, and he goes to a bar. He sits down. He's talking to a female. Like, she's kind of pretty. She's decent, you know. At one point, there's a boyfriend comes, and he's like, "Hey, get out of here. Who's that guy?" And Clark goes to go sit down. He meets up with that girl from the car, the pretty one with the Ferrari. They end up talking. Clark Clark ends up saying that she's like, "Hey, you must have fun hanging out with it. What are you doing?" And Clark's like, "I'm going cross country." Right? No, he goes, he's like, "Nothing." She's like, "You must. I seen you with your family. You must be having fun with." He's like, "No, I'm an undercover FBI agent. I'm just pretending to be with that family." Whatever he wants, like he wants to hook up with that chick. Um, and she's like, she doesn't say anything. He's like, "All right." They end up hanging out and end up going back to the hotel they go to. But they go for a swim. She's like, "Let's go skinny dipping." He's like, "This is crazy. This is crazy." He takes out his clothes. She's totally nude in the water. Clark jumps. He jumps in the water. He starts yelling, "Oh, cold, cold!" All the people from the hotel, like in the top of the balconies, are looking down, including Ellen. And Clark tells her, "I gotta go. That's my wife." She's like, "I know. Bye." Clark goes to the room, talk to Ellen, and Ellen says, "You think she's pretty?" It's Christy Brinkley in real life, but she's a supermodel. And then Ellen goes, "You think she's pretty?" And then Clark goes, "No, she's ugly." that girl's all that girl's all a supermodel and everything. No, so she's ugly. Ellen says, "I can be fun," and she's like, "Let's go do it. Let's go in the pool." They go in the pool. Ellen jumps naked in the pool, and everybody comes out from the balcony again. And Ellen's like, "Cold, cold." Like I say, everybody comes on the balcony again, including Rusty and Audrey. It's really cute. There was a part where Rusty was talking with his dad, Clark, talking about cheating and all that, and um, Clark tells Rusty that she was a pool waitress, which they actually exist, but you're not gonna buy just him and her there. So Ellen jumps in the pool. Everybody comes out, and we're off to the races. They still want to go to Wally World. Uh, there is a part where they were still in the like in New Mexico somewhere, and they were trying to. He was trying to cash a check somewhere, and he goes to this place out, middle of nowhere. Well, it looks like a nice hotel though. The guy does not want to cash uh, Clark's check, I think, because they had lost the credit cards and all. and he doesn't want to, and then he's like, I need $300 something like that. And then Clark said, you know what? I'll write you a check for $1,000 something like that, and you can keep 700. You just give me 300 for you just acting like a bonehead. And then the guy goes, you need the hotel guy goes, you need to have it's a 10 work day period. You have to wait. Clark's the guy takes off. Clark bangs his fist on the table, and the cash register comes out. He takes all the money, and then he and then he puts a check in there, and that's how he gets money to like go to Wally World. So in a way, he kind of stole, but in a way he didn't. It's kind of complicated because he left the check at least. Excuse me. Um, Now they're on. They finally got there. They're getting to Wally World. Uh, they're like Wally World. Like, yeah, we're here. They make it. They go park the car. They're like, there's nobody here. Oh wait, we'll be the first ones to leave. So they start doing that some song. Dun, 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 dun. They're all running. Dun, dun, dun. Clark and Rust in the front. Dun, 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 dun. Clark gets there and there's a moose and it says, the park is closed for repairs. Clark punches the moose thing. Um, there's a security guard played by John Candy comes out says the park's closed. Um, Clark is very upset. He takes the car and he goes to a sporting place. He takes the family. They'll be back. They drive back to the park. Then Clark takes a security guard, played by John Candy. And another security guard comes, and Clark points the gun at I'll just say John Candy, and he says, "You're gonna take us for a ride." The other security guard comes, and Clark points the gun at him. It's like, and he's like, you know, beg like a dog, something like that, and stay there. Clark gets the security guard, the overweight one played by John Candy. He takes him, and he makes him take him for all the rides, and he's holding him with a gun. They go roller coaster rides. Um, Ellen and the kids they go in the back of the roller coaster, and Clark is pointing the gun in the front with a security guard going on the rides and everything. They do all the rides. The other security guard's calling the cops. Um, then they're all coming. At one point, Clark shoots the security guard, but it's a BB gun. It's a pellet gun or BB gun. He's like, ow, whatever. But he still has him hostage, and at the end, after they do all the rides, they're all like, even though he's with a security guard, they're like, oh, we had a good time and everything. They have their arms around each other. When they come out, SWAT is called. The security guard is called SWAT and all the police. They're pointing at him, and their hands in the air. Put your hands against the wall. So all the families like this, they have their hands against the wall. They call in Mr. Wally, whatever the owner. Um, Clark ends up talking to him and saying, "Hey, can I talk to you?" He's like, "Yeah." He talks to the owner of the park. He says, "Don't you know how it is to go traveling cross country with your family?" And he's like, the owner's like, "Yeah, I did that, and the whole car stunk and all with all my kids and all that and everything." And he knows what it's like. We came to the park and we got disappointed, and the owner's like, "Yeah, I understand." Um, so Mr. Wally says, "I'm gonna press charges," and so they let Clark go with his family. At the end, they show that everybody is on a roller coaster ride, including the SWAT in the back, and they're going down. All the police are taking the rides through with with Clark. I don't know if Mr. Wally's there, but Clark and the family are there. All the cops are in the back, SWAT, everything going on the roller coaster. Really cute, and that is the end of National National Lampoon's Vacation. Sorry I took so long with the review. Some of you guys are not gonna like it, but the thing is, if I know the movie, I've seen it several times. Even at one point, I had to go. No, I've had it for a while. I've had this movie for a while. I did not have this movie for some time back, but I've had this movie some time now. I love this movie. I guess I remember a lot because it's so funny. There's movies you will see in my reviews that like I forget stuff, and if I'm forgetting stuff, that means I'm not too much in the movie, even if I admit that I like it. This one I like. I love it. It's a classic. I'll never stop watching it. I love this movie. I give this movie an A plus. I hardly ever give movies an A plus. It's an A plus. It's a perfect movie. I cannot find anything wrong with this movie. The songs are there, especially the intro song. Vacation. That's a, oh my gosh, it's awesome. Now I will say the other movies, the following ones are not so great. This is the best one. The original is the best one. The other ones are okay. The National Lampoon's Christmas, that one's pretty okay. I would give that one probably. Well, I shouldn't rate that because we're talking about this. I will. I do have the one, the Christmas one. I will get the next time. I don't have the Las Vegas one. That one is probably the worst one, but it's still funny. I would probably give it a decent grade, an A or a B or something. Oh my gosh, man! There's just so many funny parts in there. I can't even. I don't even want to go through them because I've already went through an hour and 10 minutes, and I doubted you guys seen this much. I absolutely love this movie. If you've seen this movie, I bet you appreciate my opinion. There are gonna be people that don't like this movie, and those are probably the, no offense, stuck up people. They don't know how to laugh at stupid stuff like I do. I love to laugh at stupid stuff. I'm not a stupid person, but I love to laugh stupid. This is stupid funny stuff. This stuff, and it's funny too because these things happen to people. You lose your luggage, and you have to take a, maybe some parts you have to take a relative like your aunt, an annoying aunt that you don't want to take. These stuff happen on vacation, so like really bad things. So it's not really that dumb. It's not really that stupid, but it is stupid funny either way. It's a stupid good, stupid funny. I'm just repeating myself and stuff, but the whole cast is great, man. It's just great. Oh my gosh, this movie is just a perfect comedy. As of right now, this isn't a running for the most perfect comedy. If I ever do um a top ten best comedy series or video, I love this movie, and Chevy Chase he's legendary. If you've seen this movie and you liked it, I bet you appreciate my opinion if you're watching this. If you have not watched this movie, please go watch it. And I think it is from I don't know, I think it's the late 70s, early 80s, somewhere there. I would be interested. Is it in the 70s or 80s? I don't remember. Chevy Chase makes it big. He ends up making a lot of movies. Michael Anthony Hall comes out. He's rusty. He comes out playing the Breakfast Club. He had some good success in movies. He also comes out in pretty, I don't know, 16 Candles, and he comes out in some this one of the last movies. I did see a review on Michael Anthony Hall, and he says he comes out in one of the Halloween movies, one of the latest ones, and he did come out from Cylinder Valley or whatever, something about Steve Jobs or what's his name, Bill Gates. I think he plays Bill Gates. I don't know. This movie's hilarious. Let me see if I can mention some scenes again. At the end, that's funny, saying that she got the runs from them. From Eddie giving the shoes. Oh my gosh. Him eating a hamburger at the picnic, and Eddie only gave him with bread and made ketchup. The car they smashed in the beginning. Oh my gosh. There are just so many. That's why I give this movie. I rarely give a movie an A plus. I give it an A plus plus plus. Well, I don't want to give the plus too much because I'll, compared to other movies, but it is really good. It is A plus for sure, and maybe pluses after that too. But I don't know how much I want to. It's just super good. Please, if you haven't watched it, watch it. And I hope you guys that have watched it keep watching it over and over and get it. I love this movie. Well, I'm gonna end up my review because I can just give praise to this movie for so long. I'm gonna go into the review. This is the ending review of Chevy Chase's National Lampoon's Vacation. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry it came out too long. If you stayed the whole thing, I'm surprised if you did. Comment if you did. Don't forget to, if you like my reviews, or especially this one, to give me a like and subscribe. And if you don't, well, I don't deserve it. Okay, it's fine. But if you give me if you like my stuff, please subscribe to the channel. Help my channel stay alive. Um, so I'm gonna end the review from Chevy Chase National Lampoon's Vacation. I'm gonna leave you with this too. The world will never be a perfect place, but we can make it better. Till next time, my name's Alberto, aka Destroyer 48. I'm out. Have a great day. Love you guys. Peace. Bye.